Guys, come back to Adrian, please. Phil, Allison, one of these each about that next Monday. All right. We have a guest today. We'll have a little bit about to introduce our guest. Morning. I believe Dr. Haston already came and observed the 7th grade band. Is that correct? Yes. Say hello to Dr. Haston. He's over to your left.
Morning. Nice to see you again.
And this is the last time Dr. Haston's going to be coming and observing for this year because I am going to be going off to a different school after this week. So you still have me for the rest of the week. So, all right. I heard some yay. I heard some not so yay. We're going to start by singing Little Tommy Tinker. Little Tommy Tinker sat up on her blinker, he began to cry. Mama, Mama, oh little innocent guy. You only got a chance to sing half of it. Let's sing the whole thing. Finger along as you go. Ready? Tinker sat upon her blinker, he began to cry. Instruments up. We had such a great tempo going. Let's see if we can keep that going. We got through the song, but did anyone notice what happened? Something happened with the tempo. What was it? Gus? Yeah, it was like da 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 da. It's like a train coming to a stop. Now we're not going to get a chance to do Tommy Tinker again because we have a lot of work to do today. So we're going to jump on to the B flat major scale, and we're going to play the B flat major scale half notes. I still have more things to say, so don't check out yet. In half notes, in the style of integrity. Word written right at the top of the page is majestic. So mostly long, connected, strong sounds. It's going to be as connected and as strong as we can be. Everyone's instrument up. All right. That was a very nice sound, in particular. Can you just play that low B flat just so everyone can hear in case they couldn't hear it last time? Play that B flat. Not totally in tune just yet, but you hear the quality of the sound? It's nice and rich. That's exactly what we want integrity to sound like. You right there, Bobby? Do you have a slide move? Is that why I was out of tune? All right, it's the tuba gremlins. We're going to start right at the beginning of integrity, and I want to see what we remember from last time. All right, just to be clear, before we start, I want to check, because we've had problems in the past. Can I, all the first players, first sax, first trumpet, first clarinet, raise your hand. Good seconds. All right, so first trumpets over there. There we go. All right, here we go. starting right at the beginning. We're going to see what we remember, particularly flutes, what we talked about last time. Jackson was right with me. Let's see if all the winds can come in right on beat one. Who comes on beat one? All come in together. It should sound like one sound. Last measure. Our last two measures. We can't end on that note. There's a lot of great things I'll talk about in a second. We have to have everyone end together. Last two measures, starting on that whole note. Okay. Very good. Sit back for a moment. Sit forward. I guess I'll specify, sit back and listen. There were a lot of really, really good things. I can tell you remember things. Flutes, that rhythm at the beginning was great. It sounded like you all played it perfectly in time. Remembered that beat 4 with the tie. Low brass, same thing. That rhythm at the beginning was very clear. Really nice style at the beginning. I can tell we remembered that as well. Percussion, that's the most in time you sound. I don't know if you had your Wheaties this morning. You all eat breakfast together or something? Because you're playing so much more together than usual. And it sounded like almost every single one of us, maybe 98% of us, remembered the count to release. So we have that whole note tied to the quarter note. That's a really nice job. So I'm actually going to move on to one of the next things. Actually, first, alto saxes, measure 7. Can I hear your part right there? And it's a problem, I believe, in your first altos.
Oh, first?
First and second 7?
Yeah, all altos, I believe, what I'm listening for is the first altos.
Can we do pick up now?
Yes, pick up note as well.
What? Measure 7?
Yes, to measure 7. First altos, we're not totally in tune, but we are all playing the C sharp. So you need to control that pitch here in your head. It's just wobbling around because it's no fingers, it's the short C. It's going to wobble around. So we're going to do a little bit, we're going to go right now to the section in 27. So get your mind into the key of concert E flat, so where we add the flat. So I'm going to do a little call and response right now. It's going to be on E flat, the note concert E flat. Can I hear everyone play that note right now? All right, so if you're B-flat instrument like a clarinet or a trumpet, you're going to be playing, or a tenor sax, you're going to be playing F. You're going to be playing C, alto saxes and bari saxes. Concert pitch instruments are going to be playing their E-flat. Hear that note? That with me? I can still tell that some of us aren't tapping their foot. This is a rhythm we've done before. We did this as the whole group 2 lessons ago, Dr. Easton. This was one of the 2 rhythms we targeted. How it appears in the music. After measure 27, who has this rhythm in one of those measures after 27? Good, I see the students have it. I'm looking particularly at something within a few measures of 27, and almost everyone except the flutes and the back row, or except the flutes and the tubas and bari sax, are going to have this rhythm. Claire, what measure do you have this rhythm in?
30.
Measure 30. Who else has it in measure 30? That's a lot more hands than wanted to raise their hand earlier. Claire, could you describe what the articulations are in measure 30? All the symbols above the notes?
I can't remember the name of it.
Could you describe it?
Oh, like full.
Full? Okay.
Sounds.
I know. I think we're speaking the same language and talking about what the sound is, but it looks like this right here. And what do we have over this one? This articulation that everyone knows that we went over in the last lesson as well. Someone different this time. Derek. What articulation is over this note? An accent. This articulation looks similar. Has anyone ever seen this articulation before?
Yeah.
Has anyone ever seen it? Raise your hand. All right. So this articulation is called a marcato. Can you say marcato?
Marcato.
Another one of the Italian words. It sounds like this. Where it's kind of like an accent, but has a little bit of separation. It's a little bit heavier accent with more separation. So I know that everyone here has seen what this articulation looks like, right? What's this one called? Just a dot over a note? I'll put the note. What would that be called? I'm seeing a lot of hands in the back row, not many from the middle. Maybe a saxophone, clarinet? All right, Mason? It's called a staccato. What does a staccato mean?
It's like a snap. It doesn't play out. I can't describe it very well.
I think you're thinking the right thing.
I can play it, but I can't describe it.
Can you play it?
Yes.
Just play 4 of them on any note. So the notes did not connect, right? What's another way to say they're not connected? Another word for not connected. I know you're all thinking it. 1, 2, 3.
Separated.
Separated. So staccato means separated. So what do you think if we added a staccato to the marcato? What would it sound like? Any idea? Yes? Loud and kind of short. Is this kind of what you're thinking of? Maybe? Would this be it? No? Who thinks? Tell me when I play it. Raise your hand when I play it. Yep, that's what I'm going for. So, on an E flat, can you play 4 of those? Say dot, 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 do ta, dot, do ta. articulation right here. I'm going to write this up in the corner of the board. This is something I'm going to suggest that you write in the corner of your music. And when a teacher suggests, really strongly suggests that you do something, what do you do? Write it. Pause. 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 Started writing before I even told you what it's called. It's called a marcatissimo. Marcatissimo?
Marcatissimo.
Marcatissimo. Write this in the box in your music. Upper right hand corner. I'm going to come around and check. Ten more seconds. Measure 30. Who has this rhythm in measure 30? Good. If you have this rhythm in measure 30, play it in measure 30. If you don't have this rhythm in measure 30, think the rhythm in your head. Da, do, ta. Let's try again. Who thinks that we're doing a better job of that now that we know a little bit more about the articulation? Who doesn't think? Who thinks we need to do a little better job about it? I agree with both of you, actually. We are definitely doing better. I think we can do a little bit more. Da, do, ta. Say da, do, ta. Da, do, ta. Play it, measure 30. Can I hear the second trumpets in that measure? Just the second trumpets? I can tell you're playing the right notes. You're just not being, you just need to put a little bit more air behind those notes. So listen to this. I'm using a lot of air support right here. I'm using a lot of air behind those notes. Just second trumpets. Ready? A lot more air on that bottom C is what's going to help you along with that. Just the first note. Dot. Everyone, just the first note. Dot. On a concert B flat. Right. Again. Just the second trumpets. All the second trumpets. Yes. That measure. Right. Add the first trumpets, please. Everyone else, you're adding in this very next time. Now with the second trumpet part in there, that harmony sounds so much nicer. You can hear a lot more what's happening in the piece with that. Everybody else add in measure 30. Now here's the trick. If we go back to the pickup to measure 27, will measure 30 sound like that? Who thinks it will? Who thinks it won't? Ooh, why are we so pessimistic? Who thinks it will? Who's going to make it sound like that? Ah, more hands up. I like that. Pick up. Pick up to measure 27. Pick up to 27. marcatissimo in measure 30? Who did it that time? It sounded like it. That was a lot better. Flutes, tubas, and snare drum. At measure 27, do you have any marcatissimos in that phrase? What beat do they have? What beat out of 1, 2, 3, 4, and all the hands? What beat do the marcatissimos have? All right, Reese? Beat 4 every time. Can I hear snare drum, tubas, bari sax, and flute? Yes? I'm sorry. It's not written in your part. Those first 2 notes of every measure, the first, I'll write it up on the board for everyone else to see. The way that measure in orange is notated, tell me if I'm playing the correct articulations. Am I playing the correct articulations? How about now? Yes? What did I do that was different? I'm looking for someone in the flutes to tell me. What did I do differently the second time? First 2 notes were more connected. Do you play like that? Yes? Nope, the whole group. I'm not going to make you play it by yourself. Can all the flutes and all the tubas, snare drum, relax for a moment, play that rhythm as it appears in your part at 27 on your notes. Yes, as well, with pickup. Thank you. Everyone from measure 27, we're going to see if we can get all the way to the end of the piece, because one of the other goals that I'm hoping to get through with you today is all the way at the end. Yes? Yes, with the pickup to 27. Thank you. Everyone together. Make sure we get all those quarter notes on the crash cymbal, right? Sit back. Really nice job, and I'm going to tell you why. Not only did you do exactly what I asked you to do, but I heard particularly the second alto saxophone. I heard the second trumpets doing it as well. Taking that marcatissimo that we just learned out and using it in other rhythms and other parts that have the marcatissimo in it. Alto saxes, before we move on, can you play measure 44, second alto sax? Did you play measure 44 for everyone? Because they did a great job of this. Who can tell exactly which note the marcatissimo is on, even though you don't have the music? Not all of them could. You do it again, you make it even more exaggerated. Who can tell exactly where the marcatissimo is? Good. Very nice job. Very nice job. In the last 2 measures, I'm going to need more board. Everyone already has the marcatissimo. I'll leave that up. There are dynamics in the last two measures. I'm going to write the rhythm up on the board. Someone think and tell me what the dynamics look like. Not necessarily what they are, because you might not know that yet. But so I'm going to write the dynamics up in a different letter. What do they look like? What does it look like they say? Anybody? All right. Yes?
Over or below the whole note
Below the whole note?
and is that the eighth note?
Uh-huh.
It looks like that. I don't know what it's called.
Yep, it does have a crescendo.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you noticed that, but we're going to be looking at that in a second. There's something there that looks like this. FP. Do we know this dynamic yet?
Yes.
We do. Can someone tell me what it is, or what it's called, or what it sounds like? Grayson.
Isn't that like a soft forte?
That's a good guess. That's a good guess. If we were just combining it, like if we were going north to west and we wanted northwest, like that, that would be just combining it. But it's a little bit different direction. Britt? Forte piano. Loud but not too loud. So you think it's a combination? Sort of. Okay, it's not exactly like you would combine, put your hands down for a second. It's not exactly like you would combine directions like on a compass. You don't have north and west and you average them out. It's actually two separate things. So if we just had forte, just a forte, we write 1, 2, 3, 4, all loud. We just do that 4 beats of loud all the way to 1, like this. Just 4 beats of loud. Ready? Thank you. So, but instead of just forte, it's a forte piano. And what that's actually asking for, it's a hybrid, a combination dynamic. And it's asking for a forte, so a forte, and then a piano. So the forte piano being right there is 1 big, 2, 3, 4 small. You play that? Ready? Some people are going to the crescendo. Right now, just 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm showing you the dynamics with my hands. Ready? Yes? It's not quite like the B string. It stays at forte, it then goes down. Yes? Oh, that's how it was last year? All right, this is going to be a little bit different. Okay? Can you just play as is right now? Just loud, soft, 3, 4. Ready? Now, there's one other part. Actually, you already mentioned it. There's a crescendo. So instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and grows every beat. Play like this. Listen. Who heard the crescendo? So let's start at the beginning. Who heard the forte at the beginning? Who heard me drop to piano? Who heard me crescendo? Did anyone not hear any of these things?
Yeah.
All right, maybe I need to model it better. Play after me. Tap with me. You did it. It was my fault for not cueing you better. Loud, soft, and crescendo. Ready? Now, can you do that on your note that you have in measure 47, the second to last measure of the piece? On that note you have. Starting at measure 47 with this new dynamic. that one measure. Flutes, can I hear your note? That high E flat, all fingers down? We're just listening to the flute note. So not totally tuned, but all of you are getting it now, it sounds like. We were having trouble with that a while ago. Last two measures, starting at that whole note and going all the way to the end of the piece. Very nice. One more time, and then we're going to go all the way back to the beginning and see if we remember everything we learned the last couple of weeks and today. But right now, two measures before the end, starting at the same spot. Nice job. So let's review. So right from the beginning. Right from the beginning, remember that beat 2 release that we worked on. Alto saxes, those C sharps, we have to get a little bit more into. Flutes, your rhythm in the second measure. Going through. Remember, what's this called again? With a dot? What's this called? I'm going to give a 1, 2, 3, and I'll say the word. 1, 2, 3.
Marcatissimo.
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 Before we get too off topic, from the beginning to the end, we've done a great job, particularly the alto sax, of making those marcatissimos happen. Oh wait. Talking is one thing, but talking so I can't give them a compliment is another thing, because they deserve it. They did an excellent job of adding marcatissimos every time they had it. Second trumpets, we have the same rhythm. Bror, you also have the same rhythm. From the beginning, think of everything we learned. Don't sit back yet. We remembered almost everything except for the forte piano. Who noticed? Who noticed that we didn't do the forte piano? Let's start right at 43. So we get a couple measures before that. We're starting right at 43. Remember the forte piano. The trumpets, we do play at 43? Yes? Good work today. We learned a lot. What's this called again? What's it called? Arcatissimo. Thank you. Sit back. All right. Row your boat. Here we go. Ready? Go.
Okay, are you on? Are we on?
Yep, we're on.
Hello, Jim Hilby. This is Bror Oakbloom,
Hello.
and we're here to discuss the teaching of Bror today. All right, so let's start from the beginning. What did you like about the very beginning? Take a little.
I like that I set up the piano, the tonality, the key that they were going to be singing in.
Yep.
I began singing the song. I was going to sing the entire song for them. They ended up joining in. I thought that was all right. They clearly know the song. It's one they're very familiar with. But so they would get a chance to sing the whole song. I had them sing it again, which was good. Then had them play the song. It wasn't quite as successful as I hoped. They didn't immediately go into the tempo. Not all of them were tapping the pulse. I didn't start that before. So I tried conducting a little clearer, which helped, but did not immediately solve the problem.
Okay.
It still continued to slow down. They acknowledged that I did a little bit of, they could do some self-assessment. They correctly identified the problem that it started in tempo and then immediately slowed down following the beginning.
Yep. Yeah. So setting up the tonality on the piano was great. Probably one thing I was thinking is that you start walking and singing, which we do that. You probably wouldn't need to sing the song to them because you had already said that it's very
familiar.
It's very familiar. So sometimes for time-saving things, you wouldn't have to sing that to them. Maybe sing a couple of it and then get them to sing together. The one thing I want just to be aware of in the beginning, and otherwise setting up the tonality is good. Having them sing, having them play the song they sang, which is good to get their ears warmed up and get their instruments warmed up. Something that's familiar is to make your warm up a part of them watching you right from the beginning. So I probably would have waited till I got to the stand to sing after you set up your tonality, and make sure that they watch you right away. Because what happens is you had to go back twice because the first time they played, they kind of bombed a little bit.
Something else.
Yeah, and then the second time was much better, although it wasn't until the second half of the song. So you want to make sure that your warm-ups are very serious, and I know you do, that are a pretty serious part of what they do. And this way here, they're going to be watching you, and you're going to get them into the groove right from the beginning. So the start of it was good, a little bit shaky, I think. You did remind them to sit up. You did, as you said, you got through the song, although if you weren't satisfied with the warm-up, always go back, because the warm-up is so important. All right. Then you started to, you modeled for them the beginning how you would like integrity to sound.
Yes,
Okay,
the style.
Can you explain the style, what you were looking for?
Yep, I explained the style I was looking for was long, connected, and strong. Really mostly a full sound, not necessarily accented. But I believe I said majestic, regal, and full. And rich was a word that we came up with later that would have fit even better.
And how would that connect into integrity?
That is the beginning style of integrity. It's the style utilized throughout nearly the entire piece.
Right. Why not put the accents in? Or were you looking for, I know you say you're looking for the sound. Why not put the accents in and put the whole thing in at one time?
Not all of integrity is accented.
Okay. What about the introduction? Is that allowed?
The introduction, the fanfare, is very accented. So that could have been one thing that would have been done. So I could have either, instead of finding the medium where it's always connected and full, either doing the extremes of the fanfare at the beginning or the B melody that's much more slurred and even more legato.
Okay, I understand. Yeah, and I mean you have a point and a purpose of what you're doing, which I know. I'm just asking some extra questions just to see. One of the things you could have asked them is say, okay, so after you model that, is what part of this song would you think that I'm kind of demonstrating, so that you can get a little bit more? Because at the beginning you want that very big accented full sound, which you did demonstrate the full sound for sure. And I like the fact that you're modeling, and the modeling was excellent. Okay, so then after that we went to, I have some notes here, let me look at my notes. B-flat major scale, you modeled, Kentucky tune, And then you brought up about the tuba.
Yes.
In particular, what did you like about the tuba?
The tubas actually had a fantastic tone that time we did it.
Mhm.
Usually when we do the warm-ups, I can't necessarily hear the tubas. I believe they both switched to tuba very recently at the beginning
Yep.
of the year, so they've only been playing tuba for a few months, and
Mhm.
their sound has grown considerably on the time I've been here, and that was by far the best I've heard them. It was a very round sound. When we isolated it, it wasn't necessarily in tune, but the sound quality was very good and a great model, I think, for everyone else, especially with the rich regal sound.
Okay. How could you take the way that you're playing? I agree with you.
Mhm.
How could you connect that with something else outside of music to make that connection between their big, broad sound? What else? Where else could you connect that outside of music?
My immediate go-to is probably thinking about food. Maybe just probably because I was a little hungry at the time.
Okay.
But I would probably go towards fruit. Maybe a fruit that's particularly juicy or something that's dried up, sort of like a raisin. So maybe a grape versus raisin sort of thing.
Okay. So nice big sound.
Yeah.
Fruit, juicy. If you were building a house, which part of the house would that give?
Start with the foundation.
Okay, so that would be pretty much the foundation. They
Yeah.
laid out a nice foundation for you, right?
Mhm.
Okay, because the house will fall down unless you have a strong foundation, of course, there, them and the Barry Sachs, of course. But nice that you brought it to their attention, because I know they've been working hard, and it did. I heard the sound. And it's important, which is to bring up their attention to that sound, which you did, and you had them play, which was good. Let's see. So then you started at the beginning of the integrity.
Yep.
And you kind of talked them through a little bit, which is good to get them set up for
Yeah, a
for
little
the
bit
play.
of pre-covery. I think I've said that before, but I didn't mention that particular word in that.
Okay,
lesson.
good. So it's almost like the football team before they go out for the first kickoff is to kind of get the little pep talk from the coach.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you had them play. Why did you have them play through the whole song?
To assess what objectives from the previous 2 weeks or so had been retained. So
Okay.
I had specific objectives that I planned for the day, but thinking I want to take a little bit step forward, but if something's not good, that's got to be a larger step back.
Okay.
So
So
that-
what was one of your main objectives today? Is to Category.
The two main objectives I planned.
yes.
The two I planned were talking about the articulation,
Okay.
the marcatissimo, and
Mhm.
also the hybrid dynamic, the forte piano in the second to last measure.
Okay, so before we could do that, though, it appeared to me that you were listening to make sure that things were set. You made some corrections.
Yep.
You made you said there's some intonation things, which there were.
Yep.
And in a big group, it's hard to tune, but I think as they went, they tuned themselves pretty well.
Yeah.
And also, which was good. And it appeared to me that you seemed to be satisfied enough that you can then start putting in some of the different colors into the group.
Yes.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm assuming that that's what you were doing. Because
Yes,
we had talked about it before, but just wanted to double check.
Yes, that was the case. And the specific things I was listening for that had been objectives in the last week or so were accomplished very well, particularly the flute rhythm at the beginning, which was a large problem the last time we met.
Okay. So, when you started conducting, then you had to start again. What do you think was it? What can you attribute that to? Because you had to start them twice.
I think perhaps if I set up the tempo a little bit better, I noticed when they're going that all of the students in frame except for one were tapping their foot. Whether or not the few times I reinforced, okay, we're all going to tap our foot before we begin, or just gave them the prep to start.
Okay.
But it seemed like it was a little bit confusing. Perhaps I could have modeled, this is the exact prep I'm going to do.
Yep.
I've done it a few times. Maybe if I just went do like that.
Yep.
So you're getting, so they
Yep.
see and hear it, and then they see and do it.
So, if I was conducting, which we're right here,
Mhm.
and what you just did, you went like this, you went. Or would it be easier to come in on one? Which is easier? Is it this? Or is it either just,
I'd say it depends on the group.
okay,
I've been mostly using the 3-4-1
okay.
to have one beat before the breath.
Okay. Sometimes, I think sometimes, especially with younger students, it might be too much.
Okay.
And the only reason why is because they didn't come in, and then when you did Tommy Tinker, we had a little bit. So I'm almost thinking the 3 could be too much. I'm thinking if you get them set and take the quick scan, like you've been doing, so nice and tall. Here we go. And then give them the upbeat, and then down. I think they're ready for that. Sometimes the fifth graders could use a little bit more, but I think they're ready for it. But I think sometimes, and if you give them too much, but you know you're doing fine with it, but sometimes too much is too much,
Yeah.
and they don't need it. And what happens is they start not sure when to come in. So if you give them just that little, there you go. But if you give them the extra, and you go like this, they're kind of getting confused when to come in. So I think that might be just a little bit of it, but that's something we can check out the next time.
Yeah.
And like you said, depends on the group too. This group here, you know, being with young children, I think that less is best probably.
Okay.
So if you just give them that upbeat, and then look right at them and say, in a nice word, play. You don't say play, but you look at them to your eyes, say, now. Okay.
One of the things I've been trying to reinforce is breathe with me. So
That's right.
when we breathe together, it's more successful. So basically, just instead of a tick breath, just breath, play.
That would be perfect.
All right.
But if you go, it's hard from that. Not say you do that, but it would be hard because you get that little extra. And I think that little extra, because we were talking about this the other day, about they started coming in early for you lately, and so we got to figure out, okay, so why? They do it for me too. So we were talking about that, and today watching when you were doing that, I think that just that little extra gives them that little, and where's one then? So if they go 4-1, okay, I think that'll be better. But we'll double check it. I like the way you use the left hand conducting. You have them come down in the left hand. You can also make your motion as you're doing this. Make your motion smaller, so kind of everything kind of shrinks. So yep, everything shrinks down, and then make your motion for conducting smaller. But you use a good use of the left hand. Good use of the accents. You gave them some
A
accents.
little bit of weight.
Yep.
Trying to show a little bit different for the accent versus the marcatissimo.
Yep. The more you can get your eyes out of the stand, the better. When you're conducting, make sure you look right at the group you want to cue in, because a lot of times you're generalizing your look here. You can move your body a little bit more.
Okay.
So if you want, if it's the first clarinet to the clarinet, you look right at them, and almost move to them and say now, and don't miss it. Or you can look at the flutes. The flutes are having a hard time coming in on that one section you worked on today.
Yes.
Do you know why?
Counting is my
That's
my suspicion.
That's a part of it. They are coming in when the clarinets are done. Well, the clarinets are done. They're overlapping on 4. Although a lot of children do it. I just noticed this today again. Once again, you know, sometimes I have to evaluate things too. Is what happened is that the clarinets are ending on 4. The flutes are waiting for them to end, and they're playing up to the first beat, and then they're coming in late because they're playing after they hear them. So what has to happen is they have to understand that it overlaps. They're playing on the end of their note, and then they're playing. They're like stepping and launching. You with me?
Yeah.
So that's why they're missing it. Counting is a part of it, but they're not sure when to come in because they're going. So what I would recommend is 1, 2. So the clarinets are holding their part out. You don't have to worry about them.
Yeah.
So you 1, 2, and just basically look at them and say now, and then go over them with that today, because that was one of my questions for you later on. Is that their beat 4 is fine, but the flutes are coming in on 4, so it's overlapping.
Yeah.
They're waiting for them. They're being nice. They can't be nice about it. They got to step on their sound and launch.
Yep. I think part of that I've been focusing on the trumpets there, because that's a section that we worked in the lesson extensively with the second trumpets having a little bit of difficulty with that. So
Yeah.
I think they're more comfortable with that, so I could shift the attention to the flutes at that point.
There's a lot in the score, isn't there?
There's a lot.
Oh yeah, there's a lot in the score, and that's why in student teaching, when you're practicing with your friends at school, you can make believe all you want, but when you start here and you go like this and no one comes in, you're like, okay, so what's
Wait,
going
now
on?
what?
Yeah, there it goes, and it happens to me too. Even after 32 years, sometimes you just go, and no one comes in. It's like, okay, so here we go. Now we're in the real deal. So, but there's a lot. There's a lot to look at. I mean, you have multiple parts that you have to weave in, and they have to know which part's important and so forth. And you're doing a lot of that for sure. You did a lot of recapping, which was good. You went to the alto sax and said, let me listen to measure 7. So you identified some problems. I know you identified them before, so you predicted what was going to happen,
Yeah.
and that's what we do. you worked on their sitting up and sitting back because it appeared that you were not happy that they were talking when you asked them to sit
No,
back.
not at that particular moment. And we discuss what's just
Okay.
restlessness and being excited about the music, and what's just completely not engaged at all.
Good.
That appeared to me to be not engaged.
All right, let's go on. We're almost done with this part of it. Good use of whiteboard. We had talked before about possibly prepping before.
Yep.
Sometimes you can't prep everything you think, and it's going to be in the moment.
Yeah.
I understand that.
There were several of those that I did not anticipate
Mhm.
being focuses.
Now, when you finish the song, and then we'll go on to the next part of it, which is you started working on the what did you teach them today? The
Marcatissimo.
Marcatissimo. There you go. I had it in my head, just wouldn't come out of my mouth. What did you think of your cutoff at the end?
Of forte piano.
Integrity. You ended the song.
Oh,
Bum, 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 bum.
harsh cutoff. I did it a couple of different ways, different times. One of them I did a very strong cutoff on
Okay.
one. Another one, I think I just beat time through, froze on one instead
Okay.
of doing a rebound,
Okay.
and then just did 2, 3
Okay,
in
stop right there.
place.
Freeze right there. Go like that. So when your hand is out like this,
Mhm.
does this say stop or does it say go?
This is a go.
Two.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I was
In
watching.
general.
I was watching that day too. So right. So, and I know you did the rebound, so you kind
Yeah.
of went back to it, right? But you want to make sure that they understand. Now, of course, if it's a very smooth and connected song, you may just go.
Yep.
And
Or
you
a-
want to
a
drag
tap
it, or
out.
you're right. But what you just did there is you gave them the rebound, but then you had your hand out, which
Mhm.
almost like, okay, that doesn't mean, to me, that means come,
Mhm.
where this means stop. So you want to make sure you give a good connection. And if you watched it a few times, you'll see, because they didn't stop exactly with you. But once again, when you're in the moment, when I'm in the moment, I don't see everything. Sometimes I have to look at the paper and see, but you want to give the, because I think a couple times you went, and then you, like you said, you rebounded, and then your hand was open instead of like this. And this kind of is more done.
Mhm.
Okay? Just something to think about down the road. And cutoffs are not so easy to do. All right. Then you started working on some articulations, which was fine. You had them. You wanted to start on E flat.
Mhm.
Sometimes, and you said to them which note to play. You modeled the note because they didn't play the right note because they're in
No,
a different
a
key.
lot of them did different ones.
Yep. And sometimes it's the wait time. It's saying, okay, we're going to start at number 27. You could even ask them, what key are we in? Concert E flat. Okay, so I want you to play an E flat. So who here is playing E flat? Who's going to play an F? Who's going to play a C?
Mhm.
And go through each of the 4 groups. The only one I didn't say was French horn. They would play B flat.
Yeah.
So just to kind of get them their mindset. Okay, here we go. We got the note they're going to play. Because remember, they're 7th grade. They're trying to shift gears as quickly as they can.
Mhm.
So that would have saved some time too. And sometimes it's okay to review like that because you want to make sure they
Yeah.
know what note they're playing based on and the fingering, the name. You got it because you said, okay, let's play it again. And then you modeled what you wanted. And then you asked some questions. You asked Claire a question, which I appreciate you calling them by name. You called most of the students by name today,
Yep.
which is good, which is a lot of kids.
Couple I forgot.
Yep, and that, I forget them too, and I've had them for 3 years. But, you calling them by name, which is good. And they know that you're learning their names, which is a lot of kids to learn. We have 240 students here. And then you modeled marcato, and then you used the staccato, then you put together, which I like the whole framework. I like the way you did that. My only question is when you did it, when you modeled it, always got to make sure, and I know you're once again, you're in the moment, always make sure you keep that beat going, have them keep that beat going.
Mhm.
Because when you did, you went bum, or bum, ba bum. Is that what you really wanted? Or did you want bum, ba bum?
I wanted the full sustain. That was me interrupting because I wanted to be able to cue them.
Yes,
So I could have just had a little bit of dead time in,
Right.
done the full sustain through,
that's right.
instead of going for just straight
Yeah.
continuity.
Yep. And then when you played it again, because this is what happens sometimes when we're in the moment,
Mhm.
and when you're playing, and your goal is to teach this articulation.
Mhm.
Is sometimes even when you modeled it earlier, you were focused on the dot 8 followed by 16,
Yep.
not as much the dot half note. But you got to, if it's on the board, you have to make sure that you always try to model as accurate as you can. And I'm not saying it wasn't modeled accurately, but it could have been stretched out just a
Yeah.
little longer. And
Make it
because,
undeniable.
right, your focus was
That this is the new articulation. This is the rhythm that's been troublesome.
that's
So,
the focus, and that's what you needed in the song because that's a part that's the stylistic part of the song. It's very, it's this could be a song with the president of the United States come in. Of course, we play "Hail to the King" or "Hail to the Chief," not to the King. Sorry, some people think he's a king, but what would happen is that would be a good song because it's very majestic, it's very regal, like you said, and you need that bum bum bum, and it has to be that dot 8 followed by 16, and of course the new articulation is making that. And the only other word I would said today, and you tell me what other word could you have put in there if you go bum bum bum. What other word would you put in there when you're playing staccato or you're playing marcato? Think about what you're actually doing to the note and what you have to put in there to fill the space in.
well, I was going to say space, and then you used the word in the question.
And
so.
then I used it in my question, right? So I was hoping that I was trying to get around without saying the word space.
It's very challenging.
It is challenging, yeah. But they have to put silence in there. So they have to understand that when you play something more detached, which you said separated, you got them to say separated, connected, separated, is that there's going to be space in there. They have to make sure that they go bum, 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 that they're not rushing that figure that they made short. Just because they made that note shorter and detached, they still have to play that space. It's like if I buy a pizza and I eat half of it, there's half left, but that half is still somewhere.
Yeah.
It's in here, right? I'm not going
Okay.
to eat a half pizza, but it's in there. So where is that? It's just not there, but it's supposed to be there. But they left it out. So they have, and playing space is the hardest thing. I told you, the hardest thing to play is long notes
Because it's
and whole notes. What's harder than playing a whole note? Whole
rest.
So, all right. So very nice job. And then Bror went and he conducted through, had them practice what they find in the score where that part was that you were looking for, and they identified that. You had them play it together as a group, which is which was saving them some time. You worked on the ending because you wanted to work on the forte piano,
Yep.
which once again you modeled it and then showed it on the board where you had the number 1 was big, the 2 was smaller, the 3 was bigger, the 4 was bigger to show the crescendo, which was excellent because you need your visual learners. So besides just hearing it, they see it, and then you play through the song. So well done. Every class we taught in my 32 years, I've never taught a perfect class, and I'm sure you know you'll never teach a perfect
No.
class. And if you do, you need to get out because you're really joking yourself, as you know.
Yep.
But nice job today, Bror.
Thank you.
You're welcome.